help you plan out and really make a fantastic year for yourself, especially in the automobile business. And this includes selling RVs, boats, motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, side by side. In the Auto Dealership Academy members list, we've got lots of individuals from the power sport industry and more coming in all the time because they sell $70,000 and $80,000 products, at least in Canada. In the US, I'm sure that's the high end of the scale, but we've seen some of those products get up into hundreds, six figures. Polaris does sell, interestingly enough, with one dealer having that conversation, and we were talking about Halo vehicles. There is a Polaris side-by-side, which is a race version, a race-ready Baja conquering machine, well up into six figures. Absolutely amazing. Like, we're talking about getting into supercar territory and luxury car territory, and this is a recreation vehicle. Now, in that particular case, it's a race vehicle, so it's very purpose-built, and that the individual that wants that really knows what they're going after. And anyhow, I'm a little off track on that. My apologies. I'm always enamored by those Halo vehicles and the clientele that is interested in it, and because of the passion that they have for the sport. What we're talking about today is your passion for earning a six-figure income. That's the best part of all. And of course, there are so many opportunities to be able to do so. And if a six-figure income, and you've come through the first quarter of this year, we're talking about January, February, and March, and now the sun is shining, the days are a little bit longer, and you're hoping that customers are going to start coming out of the woodwork, and they're coming in with a little bit more predictable consistency. Stop hoping. Hope is probably the worst possible thing for any salesperson's career. Hope, in my opinion, is an acronym, and that's how ordinary, average people predictably expire in their career. HOPE, predictable expiry. You know how I'd like to talk about predictable consistency, and that's winning and achieving and getting the Auto Dealership Academy's manifesto of biology, our system of 3 phases and 9 steps for you to be able to achieve your maximum potential. Hope just gets smashed and squashed and just exhausted and exonerated and just pushed right out of the side when you have that manifesto. And the reason being is that in one of the steps that we call the blueprint, you really get the opportunity to see how to make a six-figure income. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Not so much about the manifesto and just about that step, but let me give you the tools and tactics that you could deploy right now. Some of it's not going to make any sense because, pardon me, excuse me, I have to go very fast in order to deliver as much content as I possibly can for you within this half an hour window. But here's the thing with predictable consistency. If you don't plan it, it won't happen. And the problem that I find average, ordinary salespeople, not just in the automotive retail business, but in all industries, is that there is so much free time. There is so much non-supervised time that your bosses, your supervisor, your teacher, your trainer doesn't even know all of the objections you could be challenged with. And the biggest objection probably that you're challenged with on a regular basis is, can I make a six-figure income selling automobiles and power sport? And yes, you can, but nobody's shown you how. How many times have you heard when you were interviewing for the position, you can make a six-figure income? How many times have you heard in the business, we have Joe sitting over there in the corner. Joe has made a six-figure income for a long period of time. Maybe you've even heard of Joe making a seven-figure income. And I'm not kidding about that. I do have a client. That's our hero card. Goes way back into 28 years ago when I was with Mercedes-Benz and met Joe. And Joe is now the AMG guy. He makes seven figures. That's how long ago Joe and I have been together. Now, Joe's been a student off and on, much more of a consistent, predictable student when I was with Mercedes-Benz as their national sales training manager. But Joe is the AMG guy. Joe has branded himself as such. Joe orders his own vehicles. He's a salesperson. He's not the manager. He's not the owner. He doesn't run the department. He doesn't run the dealership. Joe is the guy that you call when you want an AMG product. And that is based on referrals and repeat and the network that he has created. That has nothing to do with the walk-ins. Now, those individuals could have been a walk-in and they could have said, I'm looking at purchasing an AMG, and anybody on the sales floor probably is allowed to sell AMG. They've probably gone through all the certification and qualification to do so. They've written the test. They've proved to the manufacturer and to their dealer that they are capable based on memory and testing that they can present it. But nobody sells like Joe does. And so if I were the dealer, I wouldn't let anybody else deal with an AMG client unless Joe was busy. Because as an owner, as a VP, as an executive, as a teacher, trainer, and a leader in the industry, every shopper is a buyer. It's what we do to screw it up and the reason why people defect and don't purchase from us. So the thing that you want to get from that is that while Joe is a seven-figure income earner, Joe followed the blueprint. And the blueprint clearly itemizes and details in perfect context what you need to do. So in the blueprint, what you would discover is that there are 7 opportunities. And the first opportunity is walk-ins. Now that's an easy one. There's nothing really that you can do to create walk-ins. I guess you could stand out on the roadway and flag down 4 and 5 and 6 and 10-year-old vehicles and tell them to pull over and pull into the driveway. I think people they might get offended by it, thinking that there's something wrong with their vehicle, or you're somehow some kind of an official that is flagging them into the dealership. And when they get in and they don't necessarily want the brand that you have because they haven't thought about it, talked about it, researched the marketplace, touch and feel where they can't buy it. Now they're in the market for it. They could get really offended by the fact that you made them pull off the road. The only reason that is top of mind for me is I don't know if any of you have recognized the changes that Apple CarPlay made in the beginning of March. And I found it really astounding when I was navigating through a metropolitan center that I know very, very well, knew the destination I want to go to. I was running maps for the purpose of trying to circumvent traffic and get to my destination as fast as I could. And it took me off the highway, the major highway and major artery twice. And of course, if you've been through that, you're like, I don't really think I should trust it. But for those of you that have been through it and you didn't trust it and you stayed on the route that it's saying get off of, well, then you probably suffer the consequences of being slow and late. Well, I got taken off the highway and then it was telling me to loop back around, get back on the highway. So it was getting frustrated. It happened twice. So there is a bit of a glitch that is happening. I've just noticed with my iPhone 17 Max, there's a software update again tonight. There was one last week. So clearly they're fixing something that is going on in that capacity. Now, that being the case, that's a hook that you can leverage with walk-in people who don't want to see it, drive it, or know what their vehicle is worth on trade. They just want your best price. Walk-in traffic is traffic that you do not control. So the activities that lead to the sale is your sales funnel. The pipeline needs to get people into that sales funnel. Those activities I just listed seconds ago will determine the level of success you have with them. You don't do an activity, you won't make the sale. You give them the best price, that's a hunting license to go down the street. The chances of you getting them back in are slim to absolutely nil. But the great news is if you can get them back in and they can be a B back, you got a 73% chance of closing. And that's not my statistic, that's NADA. So the second part of the equation of your blueprint, and those are people you don't control. Let's assume that you see 2 people on average per day, depending on where you are. If you're in a rural community, maybe you don't see that many throughout the calendar year. If you're in a metropolitan center, you see a lot more than that. Now, so that's why I say you see on average 2 people per day. That'll give you 48 leads if you work a 24, 26-day schedule. And if you can close 1 in 5, you're looking at just under 10 sales. Do you see why? If you're selling only 8 per month, or you're selling only 12 a month, or you're not even cracking 15 on a consistent basis, you see why that happens? Well, there's 9 sales from walk-in. And that is the market volatility of this year. If you were selling automobiles in January, February, March, you probably didn't have the same years you had last year in 2025. If you just started selling automobiles, you're probably hearing stories of how great it was last year. And that's because the tariffs created what I called a surge event sale, just like the inventory shortage created a surge event in sales and a gross profit. We've never had such a profitable, highly desirable selling cycle as 2020 through 2023. Not to be repeated again. That was well outside everybody's control and well outside of the crystal ball to determine what the forecast will be. This year, the forecast is tough. Market is going to be flat, if not down by possibly 4%. And I think luxury product will hit that the hardest, and they'll know first before everybody else does. but it doesn't have to be that way for you. You can circumvent that by having our system of 3 phases and 9 steps, this blueprint being one part of it, because you can't control those walk-ins, albeit you get 8 or 9 sales as a result of seeing 2 people on average per day. But remember, in December, January, and February, part of March, you probably didn't see that many people. Some of you maybe didn't see anybody the whole week long, while right now you could be overrun with leads and now you're having to work extra hours. And the point is, while all of this is work, walk-ins are no work until you start putting them into your funnel of activities. The second opportunity that you have, an opportunity to sell more vehicles, is virtual. And so the virtual leads are the people who call in and the people who email. And I think you'd be hard pressed to debate with me on the fact that you're probably establishing contact with those virtual leads before you're ever seeing them walk into the showroom. They're calling around, they're emailing around looking, number one, for availability. Number two, what's your best price? If you don't have the product that they're looking for, coming into the dealership and spending 3 hours with you, going through all the activities that lead to a sale on a vehicle that they don't want and can't afford or aren't excited about and want a higher trim level, isn't going to change anything. And so this is where the activities that lead to the sale, while very helpful, if it isn't on what the client wants, it aggravates and annoys them. While you're doing exactly what leadership and management and training has told you must do in order to sell, you could be pushing people away. And that's why they're calling in. That's why they're not driving in, because they don't want to go through that rigmarole and that process. So what we need to do is speed up the sales process rather than slow it down. Not everybody needs a 60-point feature benefit presentation. Not everybody needs a 40-minute demonstration drive. And you won't know that until you ask them. We have another strategy called Overview, Benefit, Permission, Commitment, and that deploys 3 tactics in order for you to know that you're right on track to nail it. Of course, that improves closing ratio by 50%. So if your closing ratio is somewhere around 20%, you can hit 70% really fast. But with the blueprint, what I'm identifying for you is where your business comes from. If you were to get 2 emails, 2 phone calls per day on average, so we're talking in excess of now 80 leads virtually. Not every single one of those are going to come in. So how good is the lead or isn't it? Especially if you don't have availability, they may not come in at all. You may say, yeah, it's available. I don't have it on ground. I got a similar one that I can show you. If they don't show up, you never had anything to begin with. So is it a good lead, a bad lead? That's debatable. The point that you really have to walk away from this with is if you get 80 plus, and give me the worst case scenario. Let me give you, the worst case scenario. Make this difficult for me. If you can book appointments with half of that, with a third of that, with a quarter of that, but that doesn't even really matter. You see, there's a lot of training companies out there convincing you and your boss and your owners that we will create an appointment culture. We'll create all the appointments. We'll make sure your people are booking appointments all the way along. Hey, that's fantastic. What our AI role plays with our clients at the Auto Dealership Academy so that they don't get this is the AI is smart enough, the artificial intelligence and the bots that we've created is smart enough to give you, if you were role playing with them, an appointment. And then afterwards on the score sheet, it says, the bot says, I wouldn't show up. And the bot wouldn't show up because you don't have it or you didn't address the price flexibility, negotiation, and wiggle room. And so the boss gave you an appointment. You got everything that you needed, and yet nobody shows up. So the only metric that you really want to track is appointments that show. When you've got a consistent, predictable flow of appointments that show going into your sales funnel, you will sell 10, 20, and 30 vehicles with predictable consistency. I can assure you of that because you've got dedicated, predetermined, qualified leads. So if you can get 10% of those 84 to show up or 88 to show up, 10% to show up, and you run a 1 in 5 closing ratio, you sold 1 to 2. Holy smokes. All of a sudden, this starts to get very doable. We went from 9, we sell 2, we're at 11, and we haven't even talked about the other 6 opportunities that exist within this bucket who are the unintentional buyers. So what we've talked about right there is in your blueprint of identifying the intentional shoppers. Those are the throttle snappers and the tire kickers, and the ones that frustrate you the most because they're most concerned with getting the best price, because they're most fearful of making the deal now and then finding it later on. They could have waited and got a better deal. Or if they shopped around, they could have got a better deal. They're also the ones that are experiencing the highest level of pain. They know they should get rid of their car, their automobile, their sport utility, their van, their truck is doing something. It's making a noise. Maybe even their technician finally said, look, it's time. It's time for you to move on. The car served you well. And maybe it only has 150,000 kilometers on it. Maybe it has 300,000 on it. Maybe it has 1,000,000 miles on it. And they've Band-Aid held it together all the way along. Somebody eventually at some point, if their own conscious mind doesn't say, look, it's time. This vehicle served me well. There's the pain of the commitment of payments, 60, 72, 84, 96, 108, 120 months of payments that isn't made easily. The decision is not made easily. It's not made in jest. And no matter how excited we get about them, then really that's the activities that lead to the sale, that create the excitement. That's the reason why we call it a funnel. You're going to meet a lot of people at the very top of the funnel, but you're not going to close nearly as many down at the bottom. And that's even if you have a 1 in 2 closing ratio. You're not going to close as many people. You're going to close half as many as you meet. It's just the way it is. Even though you believe that every shopper is a buyer and you're an unbelievably super good closer at 1 in 2, you're still only going to sell half of the people that you meet. And if you're selling a 1 in 5 or 1 in 8 or 1 in 10, then you're going to meet a lot of people and spin your wheels to get a few deals out. And that happens with the intentional shopper. And teachers and trainers and automotive speakers don't talk about this because they didn't sell well, and they didn't sell long, and they didn't sell as successfully as I did. I'm still a salesperson this day because I'm still a dealer to this day. And I share all these things with you because I went the other way. I was a dealer principal of a new car franchise and then wanted to grow the training business that I had pioneered and created in my career from salesperson to manager to dealer principal, and wound up at Mercedes-Benz in a full employment position, which I didn't like because I was a caged animal. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to do it my way, and I had to conform to their way. And eventually we parted ways, became good friends still and colleagues. And every single place that including the very first dealership that I started at, where I would consider myself unsuccessful at, I have had the good fortune to be hired back and do training in those organizations because they know the system just works. The system didn't exist when I started out in my career. If it had, you and I may not be talking right now. I may be just loving a fulfilling career of just selling or managing or owning the dealership. I still own a dealership. As I mentioned earlier, it's not a new car franchise anymore. It's an independent because my forte is pre-owned, and I thoroughly enjoy selling what people want to buy, which includes new car, but I find most pre-owned lots do very, very well because you only carry what everybody wants to buy. Anyhow, if you were selling on my lot, you have no control over my advertising. You probably don't have a budget for advertising either. And that's why I say in this and setting up for this session, if you got the email, it won't cost you a nickel on advertising in order for you to be able to sell 10, 20, 30 vehicles per month with predictable consistency, because it focuses on the unintentional buyer. You see, we've been talking about the intentional shopper all the way along. The unintentional buyer is the individual who will trade in and up for newer, faster, of the latest and greatest technology, protected by a factory warranty with the benefit of roadside assistance, if they knew how affordably they could do so. Now, the only reason the if exists in there is that if you don't tell them, if you're not reaching out to them, if your advertising machine isn't reaching them and they're becoming a new car lead or a used car lead, but they're a walk-in lead, if you need traffic, if you need leads, if you're not selling enough to earn the kind of income that you want, then you need to reach out to them. And this is the reason why we call it work. So what I'm going to share with you is 4 opportunities that are work. Now, the reason why we call this work is that we have to pay you to do it. And the paying part is that you will get a lead, sell that individual, earn a commission, And then you go out and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And you think to yourself, well, Bill, can this ever run out? I don't know. The high achievers that I have and deal with on a regular basis are never concerned about their pipeline running dry. They're never concerned about their sales funnel not working. They're never concerned about their income not delivering. They're never concerned about retiring, never concerned about education funds, 401k, RRSP, their TFSA. If you live in Canada and you have access to that, they're never concerned about going on a swanky vacation. They're never concerned about what they would like to do at home. Put a pool in the backyard, buy a snowmobile, an ATV, a motorcycle, whatever the case is, a sports car, a fun driving car, a boat. They're never worried about it because they have this predictable, consistent flow of leads. So what happens with the intentional shopper is because they are so variable, because they're all over the map all the time, we're going to treat them as gravy. And now with your repeat customers, if you've been in the business for 6 months and more, that's ideal. If you've just started out in the business and you're less than 6 months, it's no problem. Join the manifesto, book a one-on-one with me. I'll load your lips to be able to speak to the manager. In fact, put me on a conference call and we'll create a game plan for you to look after the orphans that are at the dealership. So you've got a pipeline of people. That's step number 4, prospect harvesting. I've covered that in the past. So scroll down at the Auto Dealership Academy YouTube channel, as well as here on LinkedIn and on Facebook. You better scroll really, really fast because that's going back 1, 2, 3 classes back, and that will get dropped off very shortly because Facebook and in the group, they're only keeping our videos now for 30 days at a time. That was one of the changes that was made last year. So what happens now is we've got these repeat customers that you've earned the Know, Like, and Trust badge of honor with, and you don't have to do as much of an interview, and you're getting the second vehicle in the driveway. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to push back on it and say, yeah, but those people don't really buy all the time. And I don't want to be that pushy salesperson. And I don't want to have that commission breath you're talking about. How can you have a commission breath when you're asking them how they're enjoying the new vehicle that they're driving? And just out of interest, what is the second vehicle in the driveway? And I've got all these wonderful talk tracks that just flow off your tongue like they do off mine. And it creates conversation. It doesn't create resistance to selling. It's just a conversation that you're having with them. Let me speed up a little bit so that you can get on with your day because we're running out of time. The second opportunity is the referrals. Now, you don't get referrals right now if you've been in the business 6 months and more. If you've been in the business for 10 years, my guess is you're not living on referrals. You wouldn't be following along in this system right now if you specifically were. If you're getting referrals and you're getting 10 sales, 20 sales per month, that's who I'm talking about. If you are that person, I don't think you would be following along. You've already figured it out. You tell people to give you referrals. You don't ask for referrals. Don't lead with your bird dog. Don't lead with your referral fee. That is a surprise and delight. In fact, I do believe, because it's happened to me in the past, especially when I don't have a new car to sell someone that is looking for a new car, and I say, will you kindly look after them? And then you say to me, oh yeah, no problem at all, Bill, that'll be great. And we pay $200, $300, $400 on a referral, so I'll be sure to send you a check. It's like, I will say to you, no, don't. Just subtract it off of the deal that my client is getting to give them a better deal. Because here's the thing with referrals. That person referring their friend to you would be mortified if their friend found out that the person referring them actually benefited as a result of them sending a client to you. It doesn't matter how much money they make. They're not in the car business. They're trying to refer a friend. They're trying to help another friend out, which is you. And this is where your referral bird dog fee, albeit don't eliminate it, is a surprise and delight. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, but it should be delightful enough that it is a genuine thanks. You should give a referral out for just a name and a phone number, which is a coffee card that you do with your coffee and donut shop. Your favorite one, Starbucks, comes to mind. Second to that in Canada would be Tim Hortons, or the northern 48 states that have Tim Hortons in the US. That would be my thinking. Just a coffee cup card that is inexpensive as a show of good faith for giving that to them. The next bucket that you want to focus on is networking. This one always floors me. How many average, ordinary automobile salespeople will tell me, Bill, I don't sell to family. I don't like to sell to family. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to negotiate with them. The only reason why you don't want to is you're not asking them. You're not asking them, what can you share with them? How can you help them? What were they looking for? And if everybody comes back to the same old question, what's your best price? You say, that's only relevant once we have selected a vehicle that you would like to own. And you need to go through those micro commitments of what we talked about 2 classes ago on the closing aberration, getting those micro commitments so that we know that we're on the right vehicle. We've created as much enthusiasm and energy, and that it is affordable that they would like to own it before we come along with our final, this is it, out the door, on the road, you can have it, monthly payment, biweekly, or gross payment price. Gross price, such as they want to pay cash. The reason why you're not doing it is you're not asking them. So start today, create a dialogue for yourself that you reach out to friends and family in your Rolodex, which is your telephone. It's right on the end of your arm. If you're looking for leads and you say, Bill, this is all great, but I just want to sell more cars. I get it. Okay. Well, first of all, this is a goal setting exercise of these 7 opportunities where you're going to put 2 opportunities in each one of the buckets. I know I said in the walk-in, you're going to sell 9 out of seeing 2 people per day. But let's say, for instance, worst case scenario, in December, you don't see 2 people per day. Can you still sell 2 people in the walk-in bucket? It's January. It's the whole entire month. If you can't sell 2, I think there's going to be another decision that has to be made, let alone trying to fill in that bucket and that opportunity. If we put 2 in there, 2 in phone in, 2 in e-leads, you got 6 sales right there. We put 2 in your repeat bucket. There's 8. We put 2 here in references where you just tell people, you got to give me a reference. You got to know somebody. There's 10. Now we're talking about your friends and family and network. You can't sell 2 vehicles per month to friends and family. Remember, when you reach out to all of them in this month of April, which is going to be a squeeze for you to get it all in by next Thursday, the 30th, or May, you're probably not going to do anything within the week anyhow. That's too bad. Reach out to me, book a discovery call. Let's get you on track and actually do it. Information without action is merely entertaining. I hope I'm entertaining you, but at the end of the day, you got to do something. That's how you make money. Bank doesn't take, I want to do this on deposit. They only take the monies that you get traded for, and that's called work. And it's work because no one else wants to do it. You need to do it, and that's why we need to pay you to do it. But it can be easy. It can be enjoyable when you know what you're doing. That's what the purpose of the blueprint is all about. So now that you're now selling friends and family because you're reaching out to them, and maybe nobody materializes in May, doesn't mean that you throw those names in the garbage. You can pick those names up in June as well. And eventually you're going to hit your stride. You're going to have the hook that makes sense. You're going to be able to tell a story that they buy, and then your irresistible offer closes the deal. Just by doing it over and over and over again is going to create a success factor for you. So now let's talk about the very last one before I button this all up and let you get on with your day, the service department. Everybody thinks that we go into the service department right now, and Performance Group, MCM, is talking about it all the time, and they're wrong. They're wrong because during the inventory shortage, when we could give a customer almost the same amount of money that they paid for their vehicle, it was a great idea to appraise every vehicle going through the service department. Do not do a blind appraisal. Don't do a silent salesperson and put the sheet on their passenger seat for them to pick their vehicle up and drive home. We are back to a normal 2018 business level. The pre-owned marketplace has corrected very, very fast, very, very well. And I think it is still in correction mode. Prices are going to drop. And so the prices that we're giving customers in on trade is the same as what we did 2019 and 2018 and 17 and 16 and onwards. It's underwhelming. It's not impressive. If anything, it can be insulting to some people. We're back in that marketplace. And that is because new vehicle prices are stagnant or stale, or the interest rates make the price of the vehicle lower. Therefore, the pre-owned has to be lower because it never gets a chance to take advantage of 0%. So what you can do is, following up with your customers, trying to be top of mind, sell them some kind of an aftermarket product or service, such as rust, dust, and lust, that they didn't put on their vehicle back in the wintertime, which is crazy, but maybe they were maxed out in terms of their budget. Maybe something has changed. Maybe they got a promotion. Maybe they got a bonus. Maybe they got taxes back. It's that time of the year, right? They've done their taxes. Now the refund checks start rolling in. You can capitalize on that by saying, would you like a summer tire package, a winter tire package, rust protection, shine protection, interior protection, and so on. Make a deal with your business manager to earn a commission to be able to sell those products. They're not calling your customer. You could sell warranties on vehicles that you know are starting to meet their expiration period. If anything, it's a great dialogue and conversation to suggest you could upgrade to if the difference was only this much, and there's your service department upgrade. That's the only way that it works. And you know the best part, you only have to go into the service department for 2 vehicles per day. Find that vehicle that is 4 or 5 years old that is approaching warranty expiration and reach out to that individual with, I have a buyer for your car. Could we switch vehicles? Could you clean it all out? Could you put both key fobs on the same key ring? Could you just have the owner's manual in the glove box and we switch vehicles? I'll give you the brand new vehicle, or I'll give you a demonstrator, or I'll give you a pre-owned that has half the mileage that yours has on it with a factory warranty on it. And let me show your vehicle to my buyer, because that will allow us to pay in excess of market value for your vehicle because we've got a buyer. Now you're double-ending deals. Not only are you selling 1 vehicle, you're selling 2. The rest of the sales team doesn't get an opportunity at this. I had a sales guy, his name was Oscar, and he was amazing at doing this. He would hide trade-ins. We detailed every vehicle in our lot. Oscar would take it down and give it to a detailer to detail the vehicle. And finally, the sales team couldn't stand it anymore. They knew Oscar was hiding his own trades, and everybody had a list of people the length of their arm for it, and they couldn't wait for it to come in. And so they came to me and they said, Oscar's hiding these vehicles down at the detailer. And it's, lo and behold, every single month I'm cutting a check to the detailer. I'm like, why? We've got a detail department. Are they stretched? Are they overworked? Are they over capacity? No. He was hiding them and he was getting someone else to detail them. And that person was feeding him a lot of referrals. So I had to speak to Oscar. And it didn't fix anything because he's getting so many referrals from him because he's double-ending deals. And I just had to turn the sales team, said, guys, he's not doing anything else you wouldn't do too. So get good at it, do as he's doing it, and double end your deals. And this is how you sell with predictable consistency, earning a 6-figure income, 15 vehicles per month. If you add it all up, 2 walk-ins, 2 phone calls, 2 e-leads, 2 repeats, 2 referrals, 2 of your network, and 2 in the service department, 14 vehicle sales. If you average $600 commission per deal, you just earned $101,000 per year, and you sold over 150 vehicles. Wouldn't that be great? Not to mention the bonus levels if your dealership has anything like that. My name is Bill Harvey with the Auto Dealership Academy on YouTube, and here on LinkedIn, the Auto Sales Academy on the private members Facebook group. If you're not part of the private members Facebook group, consider joining over there. It's absolutely fantastic. You get a whole lot more tips, hints, and suggestions all the way along. If you want to continue watching me on the LinkedIn platform, I'm really glad that you're at the Auto Dealership Academy. You can join our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment on material that I create there. Tell me how we can make it better, what else you would like to know. But this one seems to resonate with everybody. How do I sell 15 vehicles per month when I'm struggling, grinding it out to sell 7, 6 to 8, average it out to 7. Again, my name's Bill Harvey with the Auto Dealership Academy. I will put a link below to book a discovery call with me. We can turn it into a strategy call with no trouble at all. A discovery call is the first place you start. Like, just book a 15-minute call with me. If you want to know more about it, it's $3,000 to join. It's a one-time payment. We do have a payment plan for it. This is what will earn you a 6-figure income. You will get a self-study program where you can access it on any smartphone, tablet, laptop, or desktop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere there's internet access. So you can do it at the ski chalet, on the boat, camping, provided you have internet access. And of course, I don't expect you to do it on holidays like that, but you definitely could. You'll be included in the weekly classes that we host every Thursday, earlier than this free session. It's much longer. It's an hour long. You get a chance to interact with me and ask questions there. And then, of course, you get the one-on-one opportunity, which is absolutely incredible, where you can reach out to me. Nobody offers this. Grant Cardone has it. You've got to pay $10,000 a year to be able to get it. And of course, it's on a subscription basis annually. Ours included with it. Lifetime access. One time. We've got lots of people like Chandler, Rebecca, Kelly, Dalton, who purchased this program at the very beginning of COVID, knowing that we're going into a really tough time. They've still got lifetime access to it. When they have a slump, they just book some one-on-one sessions and we turn it all around, create a new hook, develop their story, and then really pitch the irresistible offer that they have through their brand, through their dealership, by themselves. And many times it's not just price. Customers don't just make the decision on price, albeit they come in asking about that, but that's because they've done so much research. And the only thing that they really don't know about, they have to reach out to you, is what's the best price that you can sell it for. But there's so many other things that we can create an irresistible offer, get them into the dealership. They get all emotional about it. They know how much they cost. They've been searching, as YouTube tells us, as Google, tells us, 6 months on average. They know they can get cost themselves through many services that provide that offer. They have to buy it, but they definitely can. And it doesn't help them negotiate or buy an automobile. And we've got talk tracks and processes to help circumvent that as well. Not to mention filling your pipeline, the activities that lead to the sale, closing and negotiation. And this blueprint is how you will capitalize too. So book a discovery call. Happy to share with you all the details on it. It is not expensive. I can't guarantee your success, but I will warranty it. Can't guarantee your success by law. I can't tell you that you will be immensely successful, that you will pay for it within the first month, as Dalton did just months ago. And he was very worried about paying for it. This is a dad of 2 young children, a spouse that quit her job to go back to school. And he had to pay for that tuition and buy her a computer. And lo and behold, he decides to do this as well. It was a big, big financial decision for him to make. And of course, he paid for it in the first 30 days. And I told him that he would. That is what's going to happen. You could sell this to your boss. Say, boss, I need to do this. This is all it is. I don't charge more. Going to the dealership, it's the same price. We do have an enterprise solution for a dealership to be able to get it for the whole entire sales team, but that is a subscription model. For you right now, the only thing you should do, book a discovery call with me. I'll tell you how easy it is to sell 14 vehicles per month, regardless of region, regardless of brand. Even though Mercedes-Benz was my employer, even though BMW is my client, as well as General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Honda, Acura, Toyota, Nissan, and Volkswagen. I'll show you how you can earn a 6-figure income coming from a guy that's done it, a guy that's earned the stripes, cut all the gobbledygook out. It's all actionable. On the very first day, you will sell a vehicle. And again, I can't guarantee that. I will warranty it. It doesn't happen for you. Book a one-on-one with me. I'll hold your hand all the way through until you definitely do, because your success is my success. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, super weekend. And there will not be a class next week because it's the end of the month. I don't want to get in the way of your month end. Look for our emails. I will post a video that you can watch to keep you tuned up. And then, of course, we'll get on to the next week. Look for that class. That is social media, leveraging apps and technology so that you can make all your posts for the whole entire month. Posting 4 times a day, 6 days a week. All your reels, posts don't actually work. Posts are pictures. Reels, I should be saying. Post all your reels 4 times a day, 6 days a week. Blow your competition right away to smithereens. All of it done. First Monday of the month, less than noon hour. All scheduled out so that you never have to touch it again for the whole entire month. Make sure you do not miss that class. That will blow your mind. That'll blow everything away, because it's all about time management, personal productivity. It's not about social media. I'll show you the tactics of social media and things you can do in order for you to free up your time for the people that walk in, call in, and email in, so that you can sell all those people out there your portfolio, and then all the others that walk in are the icing on the cake. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye for now.